Well, hello everyone. You might be wondering why we're looking at my feet. Well, the rest of me is here, but today our story has a lot of feet in it, so I thought we'd just take a different look. But before we jump into our story, I thought I'd share some interesting facts about our feet. So did you know that each of our feet have 26 bones in them? And if you take off your shoes and socks and wiggle your toes around, you can see your bones moving under your skin. Most people on average take about 8,000 to 10,000 steps each day. If you run a lot, I know some of you like to run distances and things like that, you get in even more steps than that. If you look at your feet and notice that they're not exactly the same size as each other, that's completely normal. Most people have a foot that's a little bigger than the other. Kid feet sweat more than grown-up feet. And we have about 250,000 sweat glands in our feet. And our feet can make up to a cup of sweat per day, which sounds hard for me to believe. So think about having a glass of water. That's a glass that's full of water. Your feet can sweat that much in a day. That might be why our feet smell so gross sometimes. Let's think about some of the things our feet help us do. They can help us run. They can help us pedal our bike. They can help us climb. Some of you might like to go to climbing gyms. They can help us kick. They help us when we swim. They help us dance. Sometimes we have to stand on our toes and use our feet in all kinds of ways to dance. And with the Olympics coming up, the opening ceremonies are tonight, which I'm very excited about. If you watch the Olympics, look at all the different ways people use their feet in their sports. And then there will also be something called the Paralympics, and you'll get to see people do all kinds of amazing things, sometimes without their feet, or you'll see people do really amazing things with their feet that most of the rest of us might do with our hands and arms. I saw a preview of some of the sports, and a man was shooting a bow and arrow with his feet. So why don't you look out for that and see some of the really interesting things in the Olympics. Our story today takes place during what we now call Holy Week. It was the last week of Jesus' life leading up to his death and resurrection. And at this point, Jesus knew that the anger towards him was growing, especially from the people who were very powerful, and they didn't like his message and some of the things that he was doing. And Jesus knew that their anger was getting very serious, and it was likely that he would be captured and could be killed for it. So he wanted to leave something special to his friends, his disciples. So they gathered for a final meal that we sometimes call the Last Supper, and they were celebrating the feast of the Passover, which is a Jewish tradition to remember God's faithfulness in delivering the people from slavery in Egypt. First, he shared a meal with them. He gave thanks for the bread and the wine, and he shared it with them. Does this look familiar? That's what we do on Sundays when we celebrate communion together. But I don't think Jesus gave this meal just to say, well, think of me and then be on your way. I think communion is to remember Jesus' love and kindness and then try to be like that ourselves. Next, he washed his disciples' feet. This is the same thing that we do on Maundy, Thursday during Holy Week. In Jesus' time, people walked in sandals on dirt roads. You can imagine how dirty their feet were. And like we said a few minutes ago, feet are very sweaty. It was proper custom and good manners to wash your feet when you came into someone's home. Typically, a servant washed the feet if that house had a servant, or the homeowner would put out a bowl of water and a towel for you to wash your feet before you came in. After Jesus ate with his friends, he got a bowl of water and washed his disciples' feet. This was really hard for them to understand why he was doing this, and I think it made some of them uncomfortable, because in this time, foot washing was not really something of honor. It was something a servant did. It was not something that a leader did for his followers, or it was not something that a teacher did for their students, or that a parent did for their child. It was done by a person who was seen as less than other people. And so one of Jesus' friends named Peter said, "No way, you will never wash my feet." And Jesus said, "It's important that I wash your feet. You may not understand right now what I'm doing, but someday you will." Jesus taught people over and over that God's kingdom is different from a lot of what's going on in the world. God's kingdom is about loving and serving each other, looking out for people, and sharing. It's not about trying to have the most power, the most money, the most followers on Instagram, or the most subscribers on YouTube. Serving people in this way, like Jesus did, means that we don't think that we're too cool or too important to help out, and that we're constantly looking for ways, even really small ways, to help other people, even if it's a task that doesn't seem all that fun. You could help someone at home with a chore even if they don't ask, or you could pick up trash even if you weren't the one who made the mess. And so you're also making that space more clean for the next person who wants to use it. There are all kinds of ways that we can be on the lookout to help other people that will really help make a difference. If you have the summer kit, inside that you'll find 2 containers of foot soak. There are bath salts inside, and the intention was for you to use one and then give one away to someone else. So you can take one of these and dump it into warm water, and you can soak your feet, or you could put it in the bathtub and soak that way, and it's just a nice relaxing touch to soak your feet if they're tired and they have a nice smell to them, and just to create a relaxing experience. And then there's also a tag inside, and I thought maybe you could give this away to someone you think might really enjoy it, just as a way to let them know that you're thinking about them. You could, if you want, punch a hole and tie it around, or just give it to them with a little note on the back saying that you appreciate them or you're thinking about them, and help brighten their day.